Today's episode of The Walk Show is brought to you in part by Rock Sparrow. Rock Sparrow brings artists and brands to life through quality merchandise. They help entrepreneurs, artists, and brands with online merch solutions, taking the guesswork out of merchandising your brand by managing your every need, and all with real people. Speaking of real people, I've known the creators of Rock Sparrow for years, and I can tell you firsthand, these people genuinely care about what they do for their clients and their community. There's even a store there set up for The Walk Show. Check out what they're up to at rocksparrow.ca. If you want to join up like I did, send them an email at info@rocksparrow.ca. And if you want to check out my Rock Sparrow merch, it's at The Walk Show. That's WOK.rocksparrow.ca. Again, that's thewalkshow.rocksparrow.ca. In any case, if you want to help out The Walk Show, please let them know that I sent you. Howdy, folks. Welcome to The Walk Show, podcasting on all major platforms and broadcasting on Hypernova Radio. Thank you for listening. Be sure to follow the show on Facebook, Instagram, X, and Blue Sky. And if you want to support the show with your dollars, you can subscribe over on Patreon for only $5 a month. I'm Derek Prince-Cox, and I hope you're all keeping well. Things are pretty good here, just trucking along as usual. Otis had a bit of an IBD flare-up, but he is back on his meds and hopefully on the mend. If you follow the show, you may know that Otis is my boxer Springer Spaniel and kind of a mascot of the podcast. He was diagnosed with IBD a few years ago, and it was a bit of a nightmare and a small fortune to get him stable, to be honest. Things were really good for a while, but Friday was a bit of a mess. So anyway, a while back I had some Walk Show Otis t-shirts done to help offset the cost of the medical bills. And there was some great support back then. I do still have some in stock, so if you're interested in one or any Walk Show merch, it's available at derekprincecox.com, and links are available on my socials. Yeah, look cool and help me pay down some medical bills while doing it. I reached out to you on Facebook and Instagram to ask you who would be in your dream band, and here's what you had to say.
Now it's time to check that mail. I'm gonna check that mail good. Yeah, check that mail.
From Oval, howdy. They say, I wish the end would make a comeback, but seems unlikely to happen. Yeah, they were a fantastic band. From Ryan Forsyth at Glasgow Grin, hey man, Ryan says, me, Chris Penny, Frank Zappa, and the cast of Night Court, we never write a song, we just hang out in the jam hall. Yeah, as usual, Ryan wins the internet with this comment. Still reigning champion of the internet. From John McGonigal of Jam Video Photo, hey buddy. John says, singer Chris Cornell, guitar Jerry Cantrell, guitar Brent Hines, bass Justin Chancellor, drums Mario Duplantier. Would it work? Dunno, but it would be fun to try. Think of all the vocals along with different styles of guitars, bass, and drums. I mean, sure, it could work. Chris Cornell isn't really around these days, but Brent Hines might be looking for a gig. I just read that he left Mastodon, which is crazy. But yeah, that's the fun thing about this question is you could go a ton of different directions with it. From David Gupta of World Eaters, hey dude. David says Carl Willits, Joe Bench, Baz Thompson, Gavin Ward, Martin Kernswaite. Wait. David, I'll be honest, I had to look these people up, and of course it's the lineup of Bolt Thrower. Anyone that knows David probably saw that one coming. As for me, I'm just going to throw some of my favorite musicians into the blender here, so I'll go with Marco Miniman on drums. And Marco's played with everyone from Paul Gilbert to Nick Johnston to Necrophagist, among others. I'll also go with Ken Andrews of Failure on guitar and vocals, Michael McIver of Candiria on bass. Last two, I'll go with some Canadians. I'd have Nick Johnston on lead guitar. And because I finally got around to watching that Tragically Hip documentary, let's go with Gord Downey on vocals. Be an interesting mix. Either that or Burnt by the Sun could just get back together. That would be just fine. As always, thank you so much for your participation. If you aren't writing in and you want to get in on the action, when you see a listener question pop up on the Walk Show socials, leave your answer in the comments or email them directly to thewalkshow@gmail.com. On that note, let's do today's Double Feature Preacher.
The Double Feature Preacher is brought to you by Planet Bean Coffee.
Woo, that is a tasty f***ing brew.
And by The Walk Show.
Today's music feature is Half Empty by Lewistown, Pennsylvania's own Soul Siphon. This track is heavy as hell. Soul Siphon is a hardcore band from a state that has contributed a ton of great heavy bands, including Mother of Mercy, A Life Once Lost, and August Burns Red. And based on this track, I'd say Soul Siphon holds their own against any of them. Not that it's a contest, just saying though. Hey, Mother of Mercy kidnapped me in their van as a joke once on tour, so I'll say whatever the hell I want. Anyway, big thanks to CJ Jarvis of Soul Siphon for sending me this track. You can support Soul Siphon by checking out soulsiphon.bandcamp.com and be sure to give them a follow on the socials. Today's Planet Bean feature is their Yirgacheffe roast. This is a medium roast from Ethiopia. Yirgacheffe has notes of citrus and a floral aroma. Maybe the most interesting roast I've tried so far from Planet Bean, but I mean that in a good way. If you're a coffee snob like I am, you won't be disappointed. Planet Bean Coffee is Guelph's coffee company, having roasted fair trade and organic coffee since 1997. Check out what they're up to, get a list of locations and a list of vendors at planetbeancoffee.com. Most importantly, support Planet Bean with your dollars. You'll be glad you did. Oh, and when you do, if you want to help out the Walk Show, please let them know that I sent you.
Stick around to the end of the podcast to hear the full song from today's Double Feature Preacher artist.
Yeah, that kidnap tour joke story is true. Those guys were great, though, and honestly, it was a really fun way to break the ice. For this episode, I had a conversation with Stephanie Flemming and Mark Pettipiere of the Royal Few. I've known Mark for well over 20 years, and I just met Stephanie. This one was a lot of fun, and be sure to stick around to the end for the debut of their single, Stay Sweet. We had a great chat, and I hope you dig it. So let's get into it. And we are rolling here today with Stephanie Flemming and Mark Pettipiere of the Royal Few. Thanks so much for making time for the show today.
Yes, thank you for having us.
Yeah, we're thrilled to be here, buddy.
Well, the pleasure's mine, and I already have a frog in my throat. So we're off to a great start. How you guys doing today?
Waking up.
Well, other than anticipating having to go shovel snow for the rest of my life after this podcast, I guess we're doing okay.
I know, it's wild. It's and to the listeners, we're recording this. We're always kind of in our time machine, but we're recording this after Southern Ontario is just hit with yet another snowstorm. I think it's the second or third inside of a week. Suffice it to say, there's nowhere to put the snow. Like, we're shoveling onto, what used to be our lawns, and now it's, 6-7 foot snowbanks. So I don't know where it's all gonna go. Do you guys have snow blowers, or what's your shovel situation?
Well, okay. So it's kind of been a week for me. I have a snowblower, but needless to say, it's been a little neglected because the last few years we haven't had nearly as much snow. So I pulled it out, wasn't working, realized it was broken, fixed it, realized that it was broken again, fixed it, and then it broke one more time. And now it's fixed, sitting in my shed, ready to use after this. So I'm hoping, fingers crossed, that it'll go. But it's been a lot of work. And you're right. I've lost 2 parking spaces at my house just to pile snow because our houses are so close together and there's nowhere to put it.
It's wild. I do want to come back to that because I have a snowblower issue and you might be able to help me with it. But first off, Stephanie, what's your shovel situation?
I have shovels and also have an 18-year-old son. So he's my shoveling master. But woke up this morning, had to bring the husband to work at 6 a.m. So, the good old city of Guelph has plowed us back in. So I had to shovel my way out of the end of the driveway this morning with my husband. And I don't know. I think I pulled something in my shoulder or something. It's killing me. But I'm not happy. I'm done with the snow already.
It's been absolutely brutal this year. And, I normally am one of those people that hates winter, and I'm trying really hard not to. Last winter, yeah, Mark, you're absolutely right. We got away with all kinds of stuff. Pardon me, I hardly got any snow. But boy, are we paying for it this year.
Oh, we sure are, man.
Yeah, I should have bought new winter tires, which I did not.
So I do want to circle back to this snowblower thing. So you brought your snowblower back from the dead, 3 different times?
3 times, yes.
Okay.
So I had a flat tire, and the flat tire was stopping one of the wheels from turning, right? So it was just spinning. So it was getting no traction. I wasn't able to push into the snow to blow it out. When I fixed that, it still wasn't blowing snow very well. And I realized that I busted 2 shear pins on the blades. So only 2 of the 4 blades were turning. So I had to get new shear pins for it. But then the snow tube I replaced, or the tire tube I replaced, was the wrong one. So it blew again. So I went to a different hardware store and got the right one. So hopefully we're good to go. So what's up with yours?
Dude, I hit something 2 years ago that I don't know what I hit, but it destroyed my snowblower. And apparently the part is about as expensive as a used snowblower. So I've talked to a couple of my friends that are into welding, and even they're like, yeah, we can't do anything with this. So I just thought I'd run it past you because it seems like you've had some luck. But I think this piece, I don't know. And yeah, I know, to the listeners, you're welcome. This is Snowblower Talk with Derek Prince-Cox. But I don't know what to do. It's like this cross piece that just totally shattered. So I did a doozy, but I ended up buying this Ryobi. It's basically a glorified electric snow shovel. So I don't think it's going to do much, but we'll see how it shakes out.
If it's the light snow like we have, I think those things do fairly well. It's just the big hard snowplow snow at the end of the driveway that you won't have much luck with that thing.
Yeah, that's a lot of fun.
Oh, it's the worst. And I'm on a very busy intersection. Mark knows where I am, but I think
we actually live on the same street.
Yeah, well, yeah, kind of, right? Well, sort of.
Yeah, we do.
Yeah. That's
I guess your driveway is technically off a different street.
It's crazy when you think about it like that, but yeah, that's true. Yeah. I think these snowplows drive past my house and they just look at me shoveling and they're just like, fuck you, buddy, just and then I'm buried.
Well, new snowplows, and apparently they raise their arm thing when they go past your driveway so they don't plow your driveway in. And I'm like, how come our city doesn't have those? That'd be great.
Yeah, it would be great. And I was just having this conversation with my wife. If you go online and you say anything about it, you got people jumping down your throat like they're doing their best. And I'm like, I don't think they are.
No, I don't think so.
Man, anytime I go on and see a thread about the city, it all just turns out to be 100 people complaining about bike lanes. So there's nothing you can say unless you want to complain about bike lanes.
Yeah. Exactly.
Fair enough. Right. I just wonder, I don't know. I mean, Mark and I grew up with fairly similar influences, and I just wonder when everybody started becoming a fucking cheerleader for for government, even locally, just like, yay, they're doing their best. Leave them alone. What are you talking about? Seems like a lot of people who told on people during class in school, you know? That's all I'm saying. Not saying, just saying. That's.
We can always all do better, right? And especially right now, the snowplow drivers. Come on, guys.
Yeah, well, maybe it has to do with, their bosses and fundage and all that kind of stuff. But I mean, I don't know. It does seem to be a little slower than other towns. And I mean, I know, so my wife works in Fergus and their roads are always fine because they're used to it. It's like, sometimes it's like a different country up there in the winter, but they're just on top of their shit, man. So they're always like, what the hell's going on down in Guelph? Like, it's crazy.
Yeah. I get confused about it because I'm from Montreal and I'm used to seeing snowplows out the instant there's snow because they'll just go all night. And I'm like, how come Ontario is not like this? Like, we know there's a lot coming. You better just get out there. It's crazy.
Maybe they need to start early because there's no right on reds.
That's it.
Gotta get that head start.
They're crazy drivers. I'm telling you.
Oh, I know. We went to Montreal kind of as soon as things opened up, pretty much after the pandemic for that comedy festival that happens every year. And yeah, as soon as you get over the Quebec border, it's just like, holy shit, I'm gonna get into a pile up. It's wild.
Yes, they have no fear.
Yeah, we've been driving out to Nova Scotia for the last couple of summers, and we usually spend a night in Quebec just to break the drive up. But we do not go in. We stay on the major highway that just like stays on the outside, and that's enough for us.
Yeah, just stay in somewhere like hotel right on the highway or something.
That's exactly what it is. We got one pinned, and we stop there every time on the way there and on the way back.
And I mean, don't get me wrong, I love Montreal, but when it comes to driving, yeah, it's probably best to stay out of the belly of the beast, right?
Oh yeah, like that's another reason I hate going to Toronto, man. Driving is insane. When we go, if we can, we just take the train.
100%. It's just one of those things where, it takes, and to the listeners, we're recording this from Guelph, Ontario, which should be about an hour west of Toronto. But what happens is you spend about an hour getting to the Gardiner Expressway just to get in to the city, and then it takes you about another hour to get from there to the heart of the city. So it's getting out of control.
Yeah, it's a mess.
Wild.
Yeah, from snowblowers to traffic, you're getting all the hot topics here on the Walk Show. To the listeners, I've known Mark and your guitar player Scott Keane forever. We were friends back in high school days, which was approximately 5,000 years ago. I'm meeting Stephanie for the first time. So Mark, it's always good to see you, buddy, and Stephanie, it's nice to meet you. So far, so good.
Awesome. Yeah. Oh yeah. As soon as we talked about doing this podcast, buddy, like it brought back like a flood of memories from back in the day, from our shitty high school metal bands. Actually not metal bands. I would have to say new metal bands, right? Korn and Limp Bizkit and the Deftones probably being our like main influences on music at that time. To like high school prom after parties, backyard deck concerts, like Boonie Fest, like the memories, man. They just came back, and it was like a wild ride. Just thinking of all the things that you and I have kind of done together, like you said, 5,000 years ago, right? It's just nuts.
Dude, I remember playing a set with you at Boonie Fest, and we both had like matching orange pants. It was super new metal, dude.
Yeah, it was the time for orange pants, man. Jinko jeans. And I think the pants you're referring to that I had they were actual like fireman pants.
Oh, really?
I think so. They were like bright yellow with like orange and silver reflectors on them. If that's the pants I'm thinking of, because I thought those were the shit back then.
It's very authentic, dude. I just went to Randy River. That was my jam.
Well, that's where I worked. Remember that?
I do remember that. New metal capital of Canada. It was Randy River.
That's right. Yeah, we took care of the metalheads and the hardcore ravers.
Yeah.
Like that was our thing.
It was Hot Topic before Hot Topic.
Yes, it was.
Yeah, or at least in Canada. It might have been going on in the States. I can't remember, but yeah, man. So let's talk some Royal Few, shall we?
Oh, yeah.
I mean, you know, snowblowers, traffic, new metal. And I actually think we are going to go back into new metal because I do kind of want to pick your brain about that in terms of how it might affect your current sound, or if it doesn't, I don't know. But you guys did just shoot a music video for your track Stay Sweet, shot by the one and only John McGonigal of JamVP. How did that go?
It went really well. John is extremely professional, you know, and he makes us all feel really comfortable when we're shooting, which is nice, you know, especially being the only female in the band. It's kind of nice to have John be like, just relax, pretend I'm not here, do your thing, you know. So I like to express myself and have a great time, and I just wanted the video to be really good, and I have a feeling it's going to be pretty amazing. John's sending some clips, and I'm like, I'm getting so excited. So I'm a little bit crazy when it comes to like the visual aspect of the music, you know, like Mark and I have some pretty, I'd say, inventive ideas of what we'd like to do for our videos. And, you know, the rest of the band, both Scots, are pretty on board with what we're doing. I think it's pretty good. So, I mean, I enjoy everything that John has to offer. So it was great. Yeah, I had a great time. Yeah.
That's awesome. It's John is a just consummate professional.
Oh yeah,
I know him fairly well, and yeah, everything that guy does, he puts his heart and soul into, and he's really, really good too. I know sometimes people say things like that, and it's like, you know, because they're not talented, but they try really hard, you know. But I will say with John, that guy's just loaded with talent too. So he's a good guy to have in your camp for sure.
Yeah, to add to that, I couldn't agree more. Every time we hang out with John, he just becomes like closer and closer to us in our friend group. So, which I thought was kind of interesting too, like how close you and John have become, and how I feel like he's becoming a close friend of ours. Right? It's just another connection within this like community of artists in town. So, yeah, like the music video, it was interesting. I was talking to another mutual friend of ours, Derek, Ryan Forsyth, another drummer. And you just asked how the music video went. And I think overall it went fantastic. But from a drummer standpoint, when you're like trying to play the music and give an authentic performance while trying not to play loud, but look like you're playing with intensity. And my drum set's on a concrete floor, so I'm shuffling 10 feet within 30 seconds of playing the music. Like, it was a freaking nightmare until we figured out that, okay, like, we just got to do it this way to like make everything work properly and look cool. But as to what Stephanie said, like, again, John, super professional, super great at what he does. And like the band together, like everybody participating in it, everybody did such an awesome job. And it's like something that like another milestone for our band to hit together, right? And I think it also just brings us closer together too, right? So it's a fantastic experience.
Yeah, no, it was definitely something I'll remember for a really long time. It's almost like meeting these three guys and becoming a part of their band. You know, it's like I have three brothers now. It's pretty nice. So, which I do have one brother, but
so now you got four. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing, but it's a thing, right?
Well, they can all protect me now, right? So
yeah. Or we mostly just pick on her, so it's like a true family, right? So
It's what happens with sisters.
Gotta be authentic. Authentic family. That's how they do for sure. Some of the video stills look really good too with the red lighting and yeah, looks like it's gonna shape up to be an excellent video for sure. And I do know that game with the bass drum sliding out on you, man. That's
Oh, of course. Yeah.
It's the worst. The other thing I notice is just being a drummer, you're always in the shot, whether it's like, well, from whatever side of the stage, from performance video, right? So I've always found the director will be like, okay, you, and you take a break, and then look at me and like, not you, buddy, you're still in the shot. So you end up playing drums sometimes for like 10, 12 hours that day, right? Like it's wild.
But to add to that, like the worst part about being the drummer is you're in every shot, but you're also like never in a shot at the same time. If you think about it, right? Like how many times do you get 100 photos back from your photographer and you're like, where's the shot of me?
Yeah,
right? You're the hardest one to get a photo of.
Yeah.
But,
my arm is really famous. The rest of me, not so much, but yeah, it's crazy how much screen time my arm gets.
Or like you're like a really cool shot of your drum set, but you got a cymbal right in front of your face, right?
Yeah, there's a
and the one shot they do get of you is when you got the worst stank face on from like whatever you're doing, and you're like, I can't put that on socials, man. Like that is the worst picture I've ever seen of me.
I mean, musicians get it though, right? Musicians look at that stank face and they're like, oh yeah.
Yeah, I hope that if there's drummers listening to this podcast, they like feel that.
Definitely, man. And that's one thing Lars from Metallica did is he set his kit up so it was kind of photogenic and you could get, a shot of his face. At least that's what I've heard. I don't know if that's true, but I do think it's smart for marketing reasons. I used to always have a crash cymbal like dead center. So it was always right in front of my face. But I kind of switched it up. Not for that reason, although, might be nice to get the occasional drummer pick. I don't know if you remember that band Nora, but they had a song called Nobody Takes Pictures of the Drummer, and it's definitely true.
That's fantastic.
That's why you need a John McGonigal in your life, because, at least he instinctively probably doesn't want to take pictures of the drummer because he's a photographer, and there's something about those people that just hate drummers. But if you complain to him enough, then maybe
or slip him a 20 on the side.
There you go.
Yeah.
How long did it take you guys to shoot the video?
4 hours? I think it was about 4 hours, 4.5 hours.
Yeah, anywhere between like 4 and 6 hours. Well, by the time we did set up and tear down after, it was about 6 hours.
Yeah, we were running out of steam.
Yeah, no doubt. But that's actually not bad. Yeah, I definitely remember video shoots, up to like 12 hours sometimes, and just for a performance video. So yeah, seems like you guys work quickly.
Yeah, and we're still have to entertain the idea of maybe doing some reshoots if there was some footage that was missed, or we spark any new ideas once we start to see a more final product. We talk about that, and that's fine. So it may go into the 8 to 10 hour range if we need to.
Yeah.
Over the course of a couple days, though, that's a little more palatable, right? Than like just one crazy day, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Only stand in high heels for so long, so.
Yeah. I know, and you couldn't even see me wearing them on the behind the drum.
Yeah, Mark, that's kind of lost on you, dude. Although I'm sure they look cute. For anyone out there in listener land, and sorry in advance, some musicians hate this question, but just for the benefit of the listeners that haven't heard the band, how would you describe your sound?
Oh, you're absolutely right. We do hate this question.
Describe our sound, Mark. What
I don't know.
Sound like that, probably. Right?
I would say we are rock and roll, right? And we bring in some elements of blues, right?
Yeah. A few of our newer songs are maybe a little 70s rock inspired, vocally. So, yeah.
Yeah. We want to be powerful and just have a sound that really kind of hits you.
maybe bringing back a little bit of old school rock, because I think that's missing a lot in music nowadays, like all these young kids want to listen to is hip hop. And I love hip hop, mind you. I dance to it every day. I love it. But in my heart and my soul, rock music is what I grew up listening to, right? So nice to like maybe show the newer generation that this is what we do, right? So I don't know.
I love that. Because I mean, there's, and yeah, I absolutely agree. There's definitely some modern styles of music that are, kind of all over the place these days, and, love them, hate them, whatever. To me, I think it's fine. But if there's already a bunch of people doing that, then, why not do something different? Right?
Yeah, there's no point in being like everybody else. So you might as well be yourself and embrace who you are, because at the end of the day, you're going to be happy with the project you put out or the music you put out because you did it for yourself, right? So that's what musicians really need to do it for, is for themselves. And obviously they have people who will love it because you're passionate about it. So, I don't know.
I love that approach. I've had that argument with musicians who I won't name names because I'm not trying to throw shade here, but I have had this argument with a prominent musician in our community for years about who you write songs for. My argument has always been your argument, where it's like you write music for yourself and you try to convince people to dig you. You tell people what they should be liking. At least as far as it comes down to your music, right? This other person would say you write music for the kids, because if you want to have a career, that's who's going to listen to it. But my only thing is, by the time you get into the studio, you write it, you record it, mix it, master it, get it out to a label, if that's even a thing these days, and get it out there, it's already kind of passé, right?
Well, I don't know. I just feel like if you're writing music to make people like you, then you're not doing it for the authenticity of music. You're just doing it to get fans, to get likes, which is, mind you, what everybody wants, right? But I believe I put music out a long time ago for other people. I put out pop music, and it wasn't me. It wasn't authentically me. And I never got the response I wanted. So I just believe that if I was to put out stuff that I want to be out there, then the fans will come. Then the people will care, because they'll see that, your music is from your heart and your soul, and you're showing the world what you can create, and then if other people can see what you see, I just feel like, yeah, you can write a whole album that other people will love, and they'll love it, right? And you can get all the streams in the world. But do you feel happy when that happens? Are you happy because you got the people listening to you? Or are you happy because the streams and you're making money? Or would you be happier if you got less streams, but it's your music?
Yeah.
So if I can jump in here too,
please.
To add to both your points, I think that what you're saying is, if you're making music for other people, I think that's just the formula for making pop music.
You
right?
got it.
And when you make music for yourself, you enjoy playing it, whether you're performing it for the first time or the 1,000th time or the 10,000th time. Like, you're going to enjoy playing that every single time you play it. You write a song for somebody else, you're just going to dread having to go up there and perform it, right? And it's like, yeah, the money's coming in, but like, we all do jobs, like we all have jobs. And I'd say 90% of us don't love going to our jobs, right? The people who decided to pick the careers that they love for themselves, they're the ones who get up every day and love going to work, right? Whereas the rest of us, or most people, go sling coffees at Tim Hortons or whatever, right? Like, they're not doing it because they love it. They're doing it to pay the bills, and then they go home and then they do what they love, right? So why not take that element out of it and just go and do something you love, right? So we never really tried to say, this is the music we want to write.
Yeah.
We all came together and said, this is what we have to offer. Does it work? And we think it's worked wonderfully. So
yeah, for sure. I definitely feel pretty welcomed. It's awesome.
And that rules. And I think that authenticity goes a long way. And I actually think you win at the end of the day with that kind of stuff, because it's like, I find the bands that do that tend to have more longevity, or at very least, like in 20, 30 years, people can come back to it and still enjoy that authenticity rather than being sort of the sound du jour, which maybe you win in the short term, but long term, not so much. You know, it's like today's cool thing is tomorrow's mullet. You know what I mean?
yeah.
Yes.
So is Stay Sweet going to be part of an EP or an album or anything like that?
Yeah, we're working on an album. We just don't have a name for it because we haven't really, I don't think we've actually crossed that road yet because we haven't finished writing all the songs. But yeah, it'll be part of an album, but I believe we're just going to release it as a single originally with the video when it's ready so that everybody can, you know, stream it and see the video at the same time kind of thing. So, but yeah, and then we have our other song, Shine Down, which we have to work on a video for that as well. So we've got to brainstorm for that, which I'm sure we're going to talk to Mr. John about. But yeah, I love Stay Sweet. Stay Sweet's probably, I don't know, Mark, is it your favorite? I don't know. It's probably my favorite. I don't know.
Well, I guess like any musician listening here will probably know, you kind of cycle through your songs that like are your favorite, right? Like sometimes the old ones, the first ones you've written are your favorite, but then the new ones come out and you're like, oh, I really dig in this kind of new sound that we're doing or whatever, right? But I think for me, Stay Sweet is kind of like our rock, right? We wrote 2 or 3 songs before that just like we were finding our sound together and they just didn't click. And then Stay Sweet came from those songs that we were like really trudging through the mud to try and like make them work. And it just wasn't right. We were like happy with it. And then we'd go home and think about it and listen to like the recordings that we made on our phones. And it's just, no one was really ever happy with it. And then Stay Sweet happened and we were like, boom. It was like, this is it. This is the song. This is the sound. So I think that song will always kind of have like a special spot for all of us because it was like the key that unlocked the door to like, this is going to work.
Yeah. Yeah. It was like you and Scott, the lead guitarist, just the riff that he came up with and what they kept playing for Stay Sweet was just kept playing in my head. And I'm a songwriter. I love writing music, and it's probably what I love singing. It's obviously, but songwriting is what I truly love. I love writing music. So we had a whole song written to this Stay Sweet instrumentals that completely didn't work. And Mark kept looking at me and I kept looking at him and we're going, this just does not work for this. And we had to come up with something. And I ended up, I don't know, I watch a lot of crazy television. So I wrote the song Stay Sweet about the FLDS. Have you ever heard about the FLDS?
No.
So the FLDS is a religious organization in the United States, mainly in like Utah area, where they have older men who marry younger girls and they shun the young boys from the communes, right? So it's like a polygamist kind of thing. So they have this saying that the religious preacher would say to the young girls, and he would say, keep sweet, pray, and obey. And something about that just kept going in my head, something sweet, sweet, sweet. So I was like, stay sweet? And then all of a sudden this song just came out of it. And then Mark came up with the really good bridge for the song. And then it just all just started coming together. And it was So it was pretty much about that. But now the song kind of ties into like what's going on now in the world. Like there is no safe place for women anymore in the United States. And there's a lot of things going on that are just, it's awful, right? So, I mean, this song just ties into what people are pretty much going through to help them maybe go through it, a bit easier.
And I think that's the beauty of good lyrics is that they can apply to different situations just based on the way they're interpreted. And B, they do have that sort of therapeutic value where, somebody may feel alone and they may hear your song and it might really help them through a tough time. As corny as that may sound, I know that's happened to me numerous times. And I know I can't be alone there, right? It's got to be a cliche for a reason.
Oh, 100%. Like, there's definitely times where music has got me through some tough times, right? And like, I think that's a pretty like shared sentiment across like the entire planet, right? Like, why else would music be so popular, right? Because it fuels our emotions and soothes them. It's like another reason why I love music and love playing music and making music, right?
100%, man. And I mean, I know, Mark, like you're a lifer, dude. You've been doing this stuff since you were a kid. Stephanie, it sounds like you have too, because you have oodles of vocal training, including opera, right?
Yes. So when I was about 12 years old, my mom passed away from cancer, and I kind of discovered I could sing after that. My mom always sang in a band with my dad, and which I didn't even know until I was about in high school. And so my dad decided to put me in singing lessons, and I was in lessons like 3 times a week for, 12 years. And we ended up moving to Florida, and I lived in Sarasota, Florida for 2 years. And I attended a high school there for the visual performing arts called Booker High School. And I had an amazing set of teachers there. I became a vocal major there for 2 years and studied opera. And I got to perform in front of thousands of people at the school, which was pretty amazing, singing arias and opera and stuff, which it really gave me the training to be able to sing for like 3 to 4 hours. So, and especially the way that I sing, like I'm a pretty powerful singer. So I really try to like restrain myself at times because I just don't understand how strong my vocals are sometimes. And Mark's like, stuff. Headset, but I went to school there for 2 years, and then I moved back to Guelph. But I went to a normal high school here at GCVI, and I was in music and stuff, but I didn't really pursue it anymore. I stopped for a bit, and then I had kids and all that, and now I'm back at it. So, yeah.
That's awesome. It's so good to see that you're back into something you were so passionate about, because you see so many people sort of leave it by the wayside when they have a family. And I just know far too many musicians to know that like you can have both. Might take a lot of planning. It might take a lot of compromise here and there, but it absolutely can be done. So I'm so glad to see you do that.
Well, thank you very much. I'm glad to be back. I really missed being in the music scene, and I love seeing all the new bands that are coming out in Guelph and all my new friends that I'm making. It's pretty awesome. So, I love it.
Hell yeah. And Mark, you're doing the same thing, man.
Well, my musical journey, I guess you could say, it's always one of like peaks and valleys. So when I do something, I kind of lose my mind, right? Like I go all in, and it's like almost consumes me, right? So my wife, she'll attest to this, and it drives her nuts. So let's just say, for example, my last band that I was in, I think it was in around 2018. I buy all the gear, right? Like make sure that I have the drum set, the PA system, the guitars, like everything. Like I don't want anything to like be a problem. So I had it all set up, years and years and years, playing in my garage, in my basement. And then, as bands do, it kind of fell apart for one reason or the other. and I get so upset, and I'm like, I hate music. I'm never playing music ever again. So I sell everything, right? And my wife is like wagging her finger, and she's like, don't do this again. And I put my foot down. I'm like, no, I'm never playing music again. I hate all this. And then I get the itch, right? And then she knows as soon as like the old broken acoustic guitar that I have that I'll never get rid of for sentimental reasons comes out, she's like, here we go. Here we go. What are you going to go buy next? No. I'm not going to buy anything. Well, here comes the new drum set. Here comes the new PA system. Here comes the new bass guitar. So really fighting that urge with this one, but I'm not going to lie to you. I have a drum set at my jam spot, and I think I have 4 in the basement right now. 4 other drum sets in the basement. So,
wow. All right. Drum circle at Mark's place.
I have 1 microphone. There you go.
Oh, wow. Okay. So it's total opposite ethos. That's funny. It's, the minimum.
So, yeah, but yeah.
Sorry, you go ahead, brother.
Yeah. So anyway, yeah, I have been a lifelong musician, one way or the other. I've played now everything in a band except for guitar, I guess. I've been a lead vocalist in a band. I've played bass in multiple bands, as you probably remember. And now I'm playing drums in this one. So it's been good.
And you're singing as well.
Yes. I'm also singing in this band. Absolutely.
Go back and forth in our song. And yeah, so I love it. That's the dynamic that I really love about our band, is that I have Mark to interact with as well. Like, and we sing together as well. So I think it gives us a bit of an edge and something a bit different than other bands you don't really typically see. Like, I mean, one of my favorite bands is July Talk, and it's a female and a male who have conversations together, and I think it's amazing. I mean, that's not what we're trying to emulate at all, but it's an inspiration for sure, so. Yeah.
I guess that goes back and touches on 2 of the points that you asked about. One, what would you categorize us with? I guess you could throw like July Talks into the mix. We're kind of like a little bit like that because we have that male and female vocals going back and forth. And I already forgot the other point that it was trying to hit, but yeah.
Well, we can always circle back to it, right? We're here for a long time, not a good time, right?
Are you sure that's what we're
something like that? I don't know. What I probably should do at this point is take the quick commercial break, show some love to the sponsors, but we will be right back right after this. Today's episode of The Walk Show is brought to you in part by Jam Spots. Established in 1989, that's over 30 years, Jam Spots has provided safe and accessible spaces for musicians to create and collaborate. They have hourly, weekly, and monthly rentals to suit your needs. And here's the thing, these rooms rent out at artist-friendly rates. Cause let's face it, we can't all be John Bon Jovi. The best part about Jam Spots is its rich history in the Guelph music scene. It truly is a big part of the local scene and even has a music community within itself. And I should know, almost every band I've ever been a part of has had a room with Jam Spots. That's a ton of rehearsals, photo shoots, and even a music video we shot there with A Rise and Ruin. If you're looking for a space within our music community, check out jamspots.com. That's JAMSPOTS.com. Jam Spots. Make some noise! Hey, business owners, wouldn't it be cool if I was taking this time to talk about your product or service? I've enjoyed building relationships with some very cool companies since I started this thing, and I am looking to expand the Walk Show family. I work with some great sponsors, and I've sponsored events through the podcast, so I do understand how valuable time and resources can be. If you have any interest or questions about working with the show, hit me up at thewalkshow@gmail.com. Again, that's thewalkshow, WOK, @gmail.com. I hope you're enjoying the podcast. Thank you so much for listening. Now let's get back to the show. And we're back. And, just right off the hop, I do want to get into the origin story because you all come from vastly different areas. I want to get into that. But first, how did the band come together?
All right. Well, it first started with me and Scott Keane. We've been friends since high school, right? You remember us in bands together, yada, yada, yada. He moved away, abandoned his whole life, lived in China for about 12 years, and then moved back. And then as soon as he moved back, we had pandemic. If we all remember that. So Scott and I, we would sit and play endless hours of video games. Endless. And we were getting pretty good, right? We were talking on NHL. I think we were top 100 in the world in some tournaments. We were getting really good. And I said to him one day, and the pandemic was coming to an end. It was over. It's imagine how good we would be at music if we started playing again. And he's like, that's an amazing idea. So 2 days later, he shows up at my house with $2,500 worth of music gear and says, let's go play. Oh, okay. So I think I had an old bass guitar in the basement and my old acoustic guitar because, like I said before, I abandoned music for the rest of my life. And so we rented a room, an hourly room over at Jam Spots there, just up the road from the house. I think that's one of your sponsors.
Sure is.
Shout out. And Scott and I started playing together, and there was a drum set there and there was a bass amp there. So we kind of went back and I kind of went back and forth, because we're trying to write music, right? And it's okay, I play a little bit of bass here, play a little bit of drums here. And it was kind of undecided where it's going to end up because I never really ever played drums in a band before. It was just I love music and I always just love to play all instruments, right? It's fun. And we were getting to the point where it's we got a couple of songs. Actually, funny story, one day, we had just started playing music together and some guy started banging on the door at the Jam Spot and he opened it up. It was a neighbor. He's like, you guys are awesome. He's like, you want to come play at my birthday party? I was like, dude, we got 2.5 songs, right? And so that really got Scott pumped way up. He's like, oh, we got to do this. We got to do this. We got to do this. So anyway, Scott came pick me up one day. We were going to go jam. And my neighbor at the time, he's moved since then. Now our bass player, Scott English Cairns, he saw us loading our music gear into the car. And he's like, oh, you guys play music? He's like, I miss playing. I was like, oh. I was like, if you can play drums or bass, you can come and join us for some jams. He's like, oh, I don't know how to play drums. He's like, but I can play bass. He's like, I played guitar for years. So he came out and the three of us we started playing together, right? And we tried to get a monthly jam spot at the Jam Spots, but it's pretty sought after, so there was nothing available. And we ended up going to Royal City Studios on the other end of town, which is now shut down. And we started playing there. And we probably went through, I don't know, 3 or 4 vocalists before we got wind of Stephanie. And just, it wasn't the right fit. Just, it didn't work for us. And I'm sure as you're building a musical project that this kind of stuff happens, right? So we had a vocalist for a while and things were going okay. And I saw Stephanie post something on a thread on Facebook. And I clicked on it and it was, she was responding to somebody else who said, we're looking for a singer of the band. And I don't know, I had this weird feeling. And I said, hey, we have a band, we have a vocalist right now, but would you like to maybe come out and see if we could fit all of this together? And the vocalist at the time, he was open to having other people come out and see if we could just make something special, right? So Stephanie came out and it wasn't the greatest jam. our guitar player, Scott, he wasn't too keen on bringing in another vocalist at the time because we were just trying to write songs. And he was a little like tough nut to crack with Stephanie. And so anyway, Stephanie went on her merry way, and we probably didn't talk for 2 or 3 months.
I think it was about 2 months.
2 months. And then life happens. We parted way with the vocalist that we had, and which is a mutual thing. It's just his life circumstances changed, and he moved out of the city, and we had to decide what we wanted to do. And I said, you know what? I'm messaging Stephanie. I liked her energy. I love the way she sang. Like, we need her. And she ghosted me, man, for probably 2 weeks. And I said, I'm going to try one more time. So I sent her this, one of these big like breakup texts, right? It was probably super, super, super way too long. And I get back, okay. I'll come out and try again. And
old woman, eh?
Yeah. And like it took some time, but like we really settled in a place, and like the four of us, we've become best friends, which makes like doing this music together like even more special, right? Because we care for each other, and it's just so much fun doing it with your friends, your family, right? Like it's amazing.
Let me add too that when I first met them, I didn't meet the bassist, Scott Cairn.
That's true.
And I only got to meet you and Scott and the other lead singer, right? So I was kind of like, I'm not sure, and I kind of felt weird. I didn't want to take over. I didn't want to make the other leads feel like this is going to be my project and I'm taking over. So I kind of just walked away, right? So I was like, if it's meant to be, it'll happen. So it did, and it was pretty great because when I met all of you again and we all went to jam again, it was good. We had good chemistry. I could see that Scott Keane was really open to having me sing, which was great. And then we just started writing. It was great, So I don't know. I think we're going to be together for a very long time. So yeah.
Is that a promise or a threat?
You better never go anywhere.
A little bit of column A, a little bit of column B.
Yeah, can't it be both?
Well, I am not going anywhere. So there you
go. No, like we're over the moon happy with how like it's all come together, right? Like, so yeah.
Yeah. No, we're all one big family now. So.
Well, it's
now
one of the. Sorry, I cut you off, Stephanie. You go ahead.
I said now they can't get rid of me.
That's it, right? And I love that family dynamic. I mean, that's one of the best things about playing music is just having these experiences together that, I don't know, and maybe this, makes me elitist or whatever, but just most people don't have, right? Like it's to go out and play a show or, drive somewhere far and set up and just to go through all the trials and tribulations that you do as a musician. Those are just experiences that most people don't have together. And it just, of course it's going to bring you closer.
Yeah, for sure. And like to maybe put it in perspective for our non-musician listeners here, it's like going to a workplace where you have like a work bestie, right? Sometimes like you can hate the job, but when you're in the trenches together with someone that you can laugh with, complain with, scream with, right? Like it's like,
well,
that makes it easier and better.
So long on my own that when I finally got a band that wanted to do the same thing as me, it was like it's go time, because I've always felt like I've been held back because I needed other people to support my goals as well. And now I have a whole team, which is all of us to, we all have the same common goal. We all have the same dream, and we're all going to work our butts off for it. So, it's great.
And it's sort of, it is like the work dynamic, except, that job is just crazy. One day you're shooting a music video together. The next day you're, wedging all your gear into a vehicle and driving to some dive bar and, dealing with all the the bullshit over there. I mean, and for the last, I don't know, year, a little longer than a year, like I've been doing fly-in gigs, which adds another dynamic, like dealing with a crazy fucking airport, you know, like that brings you closer together. And it's just, it never ends, you know, like it's always just a crazy set of circumstances for musicians.
Well, I'll have to give it to Mark. He keeps us organized because he's the one that's got the schedule. He tells us when we have the gigs, and I'm just the lead singer going, where do I go?
Oh yeah, being the unofficial band manager sucks ass. You know, like I don't get any extra pay. I don't usually get any extra thank yous. No, I'm just kidding. I do. But, you know, managing anything sucks, right? Especially when you do it for free. But, you know, I love doing it. I love these guys. And, you know, like we have pretty big goals that we want to accomplish. And if it's not managed properly, like it's hard to get to those, accomplish those goals. So I do it for us. I do it for me. Like, and I'm absolutely fine with it. And, you know, as much as Stephanie says she doesn't do anything, I think everybody in the band does like enough of helping with that kind of stuff that I don't lose my mind.
Well, you also don't want too many cooks in the kitchen when it comes to the managerial aspect of it, right? So, and Mark, I've known you long enough to know that like you are you're like one of those born leader dudes. You know what I mean? I feel like you're best utilized in that situation. But if you have a band full of Marks, maybe it doesn't work so well, right?
It'd be one good-looking band though if it was a band full of Marks. But I appreciate that. Those some kind words there, D-Walk. But yeah, no, like we work together as a team in the end, and we just got to get the job done.
It really is like a puzzle, right? Like you can't have all centers. You need wingers, and you need defense, and you need a goalie, right? Like everybody's got to kind of play their role, and it tends to be the best way to work a band. I've found anyway.
Absolutely, you're 100% right.
Now you guys are all from vastly different areas. Now I know you and Scott Keane, Mark, started off and you guys both started off in Guelph, right?
Yeah, pretty much. Right. I lived in a small town outside of Guelph, Rockwood, till I was a teenager, and then I've been essentially in Guelph with a few little pit stops throughout my life in various areas in Ontario. But essentially, Guelph is home, and that's where I want to be. And Scott, yes, he was in Guelph until I believe his early 20s, and like I mentioned earlier, he packed everything up and he moved to China, and he actually started a family there. And when the opportunity arose, I think it's about 5 years ago now, maybe 6, he moved back to Guelph with his family. So that's where we are now. And English, Scott, the other Scott Cairns, we call him English just because it's easier instead of trying to say Scott 1, Scott 2. But he is from, how does he describe it, Stephanie? The smallest town in England?
I think it's the poorest town in England.
Oh, Birkenhead?
Berkshire?
No. I think I'd call it Birkenshire.
Oh, yeah.
He's probably gonna get really mad when he hears that we call it that. I think it's called
Sorry, you're wrong.
Yeah, I think it's called Birkenhead. So, and that's where he started his musical journey, right? So, like, he used to play in some pubs there before he came here, and when he did come here, he lived in playing in, I believe, Pablo's and Doogie's. He played the open stage there all the time. Like, he just kind of loved that stuff. But we love him. He is like our probably biggest personality.
He's a lot of fun
in our band, right? Like most bubbliest, and like who doesn't love an English accent, right?
True.
So, like he's got the biggest crowd of people around him in between our sets and stuff like that because they just love to hear that English accent. But only wanting to play Oasis and the Arctic Monkeys songs That's tough.
Ugh.
But I guess that'd be like us only wanting to play Tragically Hip and Our Lady Peace, I guess.
I mean, throw Kim Mitchell in there, and that's true for this guy.
But no, like, so, and then Stephanie, she touched on a little bit of where she is from, right? Quebec, and a lot of time down in Florida.
Yeah. So I was born and raised in Montreal, Quebec. I was till I was about 12, and then like I said, my mom passed away from cancer, and my dad decided we were going to move. So we ended up moving to Burlington, Ontario, and we lived there for 2 years. But my dad wasn't keen on Ontario. He wasn't happy. So we ended up moving to Florida, and that's when I went to school there. So, but now I'm originally from Montreal, and we ended up in Guelph because my dad's best friend lives here. So we ended up staying here, but I'm the only one left in my family that's actually still in Guelph. But I love Guelph. It's a nice community. There's music everywhere, which is awesome. So, there's lots of sense of community in Guelph, which is nice. So
definitely. And I think I'm just very interested in the fact that you all come from such different parts of the world, or at very least have spent lots of time in different parts of the world. Do you feel like that's affected your sound or your bond, or just the overall ethos you use to drive the band?
Well, I guess it's hard to say, really, right? Like, our life experiences shape us to like who we are in the present, right? So you could probably say absolutely it has, right? I don't think there's been any candid conversations about like, oh, in like China, music is like popular because of this, so we should do this, or in Florida, like this is what worked there, so we should try and emulate this. I don't think so. It kind of goes back to what I said. Like, we all came together, and the thought was like, does what we have to offer, accomplish what we want to accomplish here? And for me anyway, the answer is absolutely, right? So, like, to your point, absolutely. I think that all of our experiences and influences for our music that have kind of built up to who we are today definitely play a role in what we create.
Yeah, like, for sure. Like, I studied opera, and Amy Lee of Evanescence is one of my favorite singers, and I loved her so much, and I wanted to be just like her. And being a part of this is like kind of creating the pathway, I guess you'd say, of what I want. But it's not exactly what she was doing. But I think like the styles of all we have, like Mark's got the raw style of drums. I don't know. I think it's the metal inspiration that he has. Like, it gives a different sound to our music. And then Scott's guitar, like the lead guitar, is just, I don't know, like the way Scott plays sometimes, it's so good that I'm like, how is he not famous sometimes? Like, he's so good. He is a teacher, by the way. He teaches music, and he's incredible. So I just think that the styles of music that we were all inspired by, like Scott Cairns, he's English. He likes all the Arctic Monkeys and all the deep bass lines and stuff. So it gives us some really good differentiating sounds. So it's nice. And then I pull some of my opera out sometimes. So it's kind of nice. But yeah, it gives us maybe a bit of an edge and a different kind of sound. But all of us eclectically together, I think sounds pretty cool. Yeah.
Yeah, it seems like a really cool kind of mishmash of personalities and styles. I mean, especially with the opera aspect. I think that's really cool. Do you do any opera gigs or anything on the side?
No, I have not. I don't at the moment. But I wouldn't say opera is where my heart lies. Like, if I was asked to sing opera, I would. But it's not something I'd love to do. Like, I had to do it to be a vocal major, right? So it's something that I was required to do. There's a lot of things that were required in that school, but it was pretty crazy. But no, I haven't done any of those opera gigs. That might be something in the future that could happen. Who
Well,
knows?
the reason I ask is, the wheels and cogs are always turning in my head, and I just when I think opera, my mind goes to friend of the show, Elisa Rose. She's been on the show a couple of times, and I feel like she's probably always looking for like-minded vocalists to collaborate with. So, Elisa, if you're listening, hit me up. It's just me trying to play matchmaker. That's all.
I'm always down to connect for sure.
So you guys are playing Gain Music Fest this year. That's exciting.
Yeah, absolutely. That's maybe the first big thing on our radar for this year. We are very excited, right? Like Gain Media being like such a big music player in the town of Guelph. We're a little disappointed that the Battle of the Bands isn't happening this year through them, because we wanted to go rock that out. That's always a fun time. But Gain Music, again, yeah, like we're super stoked about it.
No, we're honored. It's awesome. Yeah.
Do you know where and when you're playing, or is it something you're not allowed to talk about yet, or
Yes and yes. I do know where we're playing. I don't know if we're allowed to talk about it yet. It will be downtown Guelph. We're playing on a Friday night. I'll give you that much. You could follow our socials as soon as I know we got the clear to
with two other great bands, I believe.
Yeah.
Two other bands.
Yeah. I think we're playing with two other bands.
Mm-hmm.
As soon as we're okay to share all the information, we will have it plastered everywhere. So, we have our Instagram, we have our Facebook, we have our TikTok, even our theroyalfew.ca website is up and running.
Mm-hmm.
It'll be on there. So yeah, we're just looking forward to it. All the gigs that we have lined up and ready to go. It's we're hoping for a really, really busy 2025.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Beautiful. Every episode I ask the listeners a question. I like to get my guests' take as well. So today's question is, who would be in your dream band?
You go ahead, Mark.
You want me to go ahead? Okay. So to me, this is a loaded question, and I could lose my mind with it because I love seeing crazy stuff. So my dream band could consist of Les Claypool and Elvis together, or I don't know, Eminem and the Beatles, right? Or you could go to the other end of it and think of who's the most talented musicians, right? And put that together. But then my brain starts to fall apart. It's would this genre go with this genre? How would this sound? So anyway, I thought about it, and I think my answer would be who I would love to see live on stage. And I would take the most entertaining musicians that I've seen. And I would start out with, on drums, I would love to see Dave Grohl playing old Nirvana style. I would put Flea from the Red Hot Chili Peppers, because who doesn't like to see that crazy man dance around on the stage? Back to the new metal, Wes Borland. When I got to see Limp Bizkit once, but it was the one tour they did without Wes Borland. So that hurts a little bit, and I would love to see him play. And then the vocalist was really hard. And here's another one that I've never seen, but Serge from System of a Down. I have tickets for this upcoming show in the summertime, but I think that would be a really cool lineup to see. But how they would sound, I have no idea.
Right?
What about you, Stephanie?
Okay. Well, I had to pick lead guitar, Eddie Van Halen, for sure. He's one of my favorites. My dad used to play all of his stuff all the time, not on guitar, because my dad didn't play lead guitar. My dad played rhythm, but he'd play all the music on his stereo, and I loved it. So Eddie Van Halen, and drums, I'd say Neil Peart from Rush. He's pretty amazing. Yeah, I'd have to agree with Mark. Flea is pretty awesome. for bassist. He's pretty entertaining. What have I not said? Lead singer?
Lead singer.
Lead singer. Well, now I could pick 3 different lead singers, and they'd all be female. So
Put them all in the band together.
it would be Amy Lee, which is my number 1 choice. She would be my number 1 choice. Vocally, she's incredible, dynamic on stage, just insane. I love her. Second, I'd say Lizzie Hale from Hailstorm. She's pretty amazing. She's got a wicked set of pipes on her. And third, Christina Scabia from Lacuna Coil.
Very cool.
She's
pick.
because she sings opera and she's just so powerful. I love it. Just like if I wasn't in this band, I'd be in a dark rock gothic band. That would be the next choice. So, Mark, let's go. What's next?
I love it. That's awesome. And yeah, I apologize for that question. It's I realize you can go down the rabbit hole with it, but I just thought it would be a fun one for the listeners to chime in on.
That's pretty cool. Yeah.
Dude, you could have a whole podcast with a year's worth of episode dedicated just to that question, right?
Totally.
Have people come on and state their case why this one's good or not or that or that. It'd be good.
For sure.
Yeah, well, and the other avenue is you could go down is your favorite band, but just with you in it. There's
Right? Yeah.
there's that aspect too.
No, man, that hurts my brain too.
Just
Like,
give me from
that,
Metallica.
like, there's so many choices there, right?
Yeah.
Dude, this
Yeah,
is like
anyway.
dream band inception. That's what's happening right now.
Oh my goodness. Yeah.
Like,
Like, now I'm this.
Steal Tool. Steal the band Tool. That'll be my band. There we go.
There you go.
Right.
Or now I'm the singer of STP, right? Because
Perfect.
like,
Yes.
oh my God. Yeah.
I know. Too many options.
Well, I think those are some very good picks. Yeah, I feel like I could do this all day, but I do need to wrap up soon. So we'll start with a couple of questions and then we'll spin some ruling tunes. So what's on the docket for the band this year, other than Gain?
Oh, I guess maybe since you want me to go, since I have it all written down and managed.
Schedule.
Well, we already touched on the music video, and we want to launch our releases, our singles for Stay Sweet and Shine Down. We have some shows booked up. So if you do not know, we also moonlight as a cover band, to pay the bills. So we have a couple cover shows lined up. Shout out to the Red Chev for having us out. In the Ward area in Guelph, they're trying to pump the live music there. So you guys should check it out if you can. Also, another big shout out to the Witchcraft, who has us out quite often there. Great place to play. Great smoked food. I know I sound like an walking advertisement right now, but we have some shows lined up there. Again, check our socials, our royalfew.ca. Oh, sorry, the royalfew.ca website. We have a section where we have all of our upcoming shows and events posted. We also have some applications in for some bigger music festivals in Guelph and surrounding area. So we kind of got to wait for those to go through before we can announce anything. And hopefully we'll be playing some music festivals. So that's it. And back in the studio, right? Like we talked about having to get the rest of this album recorded and out. That's the goal, right?
Finishing writing and getting this all done.
Very cool. Is there anybody you want to take this opportunity to give a shout out to?
What about you, Stephanie?
There's lots of people I'd like to say thank you to and shout out, but like Mark said, Witchcraft, the owner there has been pretty amazing having us out. There was a business here in Guelph called Infamous, and a man named John used to have it. Pretty incredible. Started us out when we were first getting together about a year ago. Like the Red Chev is pretty incredible for having us out as well. all the other local artists in Guelph that are giving it every single weekend, all the practices that I see everybody doing. I don't think that as a band, we don't see everybody else out there working as hard as we are too, right? So like everybody who's working in this industry deserves a shout out, right? So, I mean, I don't know, John McGonigal is pretty amazing for helping us and, believing in us, and a really amazing person recently that we just met, DeVere, his name is.
Love DeVere.
Yeah, like he just came out to a show. He took amazing photos of us, and he really supports us, So to see people actually embracing what we're doing is pretty incredible. So yeah, shout out to everybody who is supporting us so far and will hopefully continue to.
Yeah, for sure. Just to add to DeVere there, another thing you asked, what's coming up? He's going to spin our tunes on his radio show on CFRU. Hopefully I said that right. Maybe you can edit it out if I didn't.
No, it's definitely CFRU. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Hey, but yeah, he is a great dude. And I'm going to give a shout out because I told him I would, because I was talking to him yesterday. Old friend of ours, did mention him earlier in the show. Ryan Forsyth, an incredible drummer. He gave me my first drum lesson when we were like teenagers. So, and in our song Stay Sweet, there is a drum fill that he taught me, and I put it in that song. So that's for you, Ryan. Thank you. It's your legacy living on.
Right.
That
and I mean,
rules.
maybe a shout out to our spouses for putting up with us too.
Hey-oh.
Yeah.
That cannot be overstated. That's any musician's spouse is a gift from God.
Exactly.
And you're sitting right here, buddy. But a big shout out to you. This is a cool opportunity, the Walk Show. But you've also been like a staple for the music community in Guelph for like,
Yeah.
I don't want to say for 5,000 years, but here we are. So good on you, and thanks for like keeping us all together and doing what you do.
Yes, thank you.
Hey, I appreciate that. It's I don't know what to say because I'm not good at taking compliments, but hey, I really appreciate it. I feel like I'm doing my job same way you two are doing yours. So I love that we can kind of come together like this. And just like we were talking about, a band needing to run with the different positions, the forwards, the defenseman, the goalie. It's sort of like that from what I do as well, right? So being able to facilitate something for musicians, artists, and entrepreneurs is, I love doing it, but it's also sort of the least I can do. So, in a nutshell, thank you for the kind words. How can people, now you're so succinct, Mark, that you kind of got into this already, but how can people check out what you're doing online?
Well, like I said, theroyalfew.ca. That's pretty much the tree that branches to everything. I got our socials on there. Our live music, even a list of some of the covers we play when we do covers night. Everything that you can think of. Photos. It's a great place to start. Or you can look up the Royal Few Band on Instagram and Facebook.
Very cool. And it's anyone out there in listener land, keep your eyes peeled to the Walk Show socials. I'll definitely be tagging the Royal Few and a bunch of stuff. And your website is excellent, I have to say. It's always so cool to see a band with an actual website because it's kind of a rarity these days.
Oh, thanks, brother. I did it myself.
It's all
no way.
I did. Yeah.
Okay, well then I know who to hit up for improvements to my website. Then that's fantastic.
Yeah. So I'll add that to the list. So snowblower and website.
Yeah, and if you can do something about the traffic too, that'd be nice.
Yes, and this. Yes.
Well, if you get me one of those hats, I can stand in the middle of the road with a whistle.
Dude, I love it. That'll be awesome. The last thing I do is spin two tunes. First up is the Royal Few with Stay Sweet, followed by today's double feature preacher artist Soul Siphon with Half Empty. Thanks so much for your time. This has been so much fun.
Oh, thanks, buddy.
And to the listeners, thank you so much for your time. Catch you next time.
Take on, it's inside me. of meat, but it's full of feelings of irrelevance. Your mind's on the fringe of disrepair. Your room gives way when relenting despair. I've been so selfish. That I have no faith. I could live 100 lives, but I still make the same mistakes. Stuck in an endless loop. In my head there is no room to breathe. It exists. Special arts, glowing pace. My life is before it ever starts. Top my integrity goes down the drain. Resisting your constant, but it's slowly taking